Very good evening, everyone. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
To all the viewers. And today, welcome back to another webinar with BuyuCoin. And today we'll be talking about ICOs, IEO, and STO regulations in India. As you guys all know, uh, fundraising is one of the most critical parts of current economy, and it is a known fact that companies today in the world have not been able to provide their services if people didn't invest in them. So raising capitals today and even in the past times, there were very few options. So, and not to mention the system is also plagued. So today we are talking about ICOs, STOs, IEOs, and how they are going to change the fundraising scenario of the world and are actually changing the fundraising scenario all over the world and how it can benefit in India. So for that, I have with me Mr. Dilip. He's the founder of Tech Tweeters and he offers services copywriting to organizations in blockchain and crypto industries. And I have with me Mr. Samaksh Khanna. He's the co-founder of Block Suites, a, a platform through which he has deeply engaged in ledger organization and technologies and help in its compliance with privacy on the governance of digital assets. So,
Thanks.
hi, welcome both of you. It's great to have you today with us.
Thanks, Amaksh. It's great to be here. It's great to engage various stakeholders and take our economy forward.
Hello so much for inviting us. I'm really very happy to be a part of your seminar.
Yeah. So let's begin with today's session and straight up let's go to the questions. So first question I have for Dilip you. So as you know, like we all know a little about ICO, IEO, STO. So just give us a brief introduction and or a difference between all of them. So what can we like if someone is new, what can he understand from the word ICO, IEOs and STO?
I think most of us would be familiar with the word IPO, and ICO is a sort of extension of IPO. The full form of ICO is initial coin. Uh, uh, ICO in the initial coin or optimization, and the thing is that it is about fundraising for a new crypto organizations. When a crypto organization wants to raise funds, so what they used to do was to start an ICO, and people use the tokens, and and that is used to fund ICOs. But later, most popular in 2016 and 2017. By the end of 2017, the popularity of ICOs decreased a bit, and it was replaced by IEOs. Uh, Rather than initial coin optimization, exchanges, uh, the fundraising started to happen on the exchanges. So there were certain advantages of uh, uh, when exchanges were dealing with the fundraising. The advantage was that when it was the ICOs, often the investors had some problems in selling their coins. I mean, they faced problems in finding secondary selling options for their coins. But exchanges were handling it. It became rather easy to find the secondary markets, and along with that, the second benefit was that the exchange did the prior uh, diligence regarding the authenticity of the plan. For that, in ICOs, what used to happen was often uh, there were many fraudulent plans as well, and there was a lot of. So people were becoming wary of investing in these organizations. But the projects which were coming around on crypto, people could be quite sure about about the authenticity of these plans. But and the third stage was the arrival of STOs. That means security-based plans. Now the difference between STOs and ICOs is that ICOs is a sort of investment in something, but STOs are actually collateral based. I mean that these are like someone buying security in a company. So when people buy in a company, security in a company such as Reliance or any company, whatever company, so what they do is they are given bonds as certificates of investments. In STOs, what happens is that people are tokens in place of written bonds, and these tokens are based on the blockchain. So that is the difference between all three terms: ICOs, IEOs, and STOs. I think if there is people can ask me later. I will explain.
Yeah. So thank you for that explanation, Dilip. So as you rightly said, like we first started with ICOs, then we moved on to STOs and IEOs, and so for my question next to is Samaksh is like, how do you see that all the three are currently being regulated in countries? Like for India, we don't have that, but how all the three are like being regulated in different parts of the world?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Samaksh and Mr. Dilip very rightly summed up the basics of ICO, STOs, and IEOs. So when it comes to all three of them, we're seeing a lot of adoption around STOs and ICOs globally. Certain jurisdictions have revamped their comprehensive regulations and have introduced certain guidelines around the same. Many governments have also recognized the true potential of tokenization in itself. Back in around 2018, the Austrian government had issued tokenized government bonds worth about $1.4 billion. And in fact, back in 2019, the Bank of China introduced tokenized bonds worth about $2.4 billion. So certainly regulators are started to recognize the potential that such tokenized assets would have. However, one of the major difficulties that such regulators are facing is the fact that is due to the fact that such tokens are essentially associated with different platforms, such as Ethereum for one, and hence the legal rights and liability of such token is different in each case, and then is not able to place reliance on how to regulate each token, and hence regulation comes from a case by case basis. Now, coming to the three major jurisdictions around the world where tokenization has really revamped, which is United States, Hong Kong, and Japan. I'll be taking the very briefly. Very recently in the United States, the House of Representatives introduced the Stablecoin Act, which essentially restricts the introduction of stablecoin and states that only insured depository institutions can introduce stablecoins. And very similar restrictions are being seen for ICOs and STOs in the United States itself. The Securities Exchange Commission has been following something known as a regulation by enforcement model, wherein they keep a very succinct and a very like a big eye on how tokens are being issued and regulated around the market. The SEC has also been consistent in enforcing their regulations, and they qualify such STOs and ICOs primarily on the basis of securities. Around September 2020, the Securities Exchange Commission also amended the definition of accredited investors to allow investors to come not only on the basis of capital but also on the basis of knowledge and experience. And this has been very helpful for the digital assets economy because essentially an increased pool of investors are now able to invest in such ICOs and STOs. The SEC also has been issuing certain occasional warnings about anti-money laundering and counter-financing aspects of such STOs, but that just keeps on coming, and the applicability of them keeps on revolving around when they are cross-border in nature. Coming to Hong Kong very briefly, tokenization has been evolving in Hong Kong ever since 2017. Very recently, and in this month they have introduced new licensing guidelines for intermediaries who are issuing STOs, and more and more licenses on such ICOs are being granted every day that we speak of. Coming to Japan, for that matter, Japan is one of the oldest jurisdictions when it comes to crypto. They are one of the first jurisdictions that recognize cryptocurrencies as money, and STOs and ICOs there are regulated under the Financial Instruments and Exchange Act, classifying as securities themselves. certain securities there which are represented by a token, such as Type 1 securities, uh, they are uh, they are very similar to traditional bonds and shares, and they fall under and they have certain electronically transferred rights according to them. So such tokens then come and fall under the Companies Act as well, and that is how major jurisdictions are regulating it, basically on a basis of financial instruments and securities.
Yeah, rightly said.
That
Like
is
different countries are following different methodologies. Everybody is trying a hit and trial method. I think as of now, like they are going in
definitely.
one direction, everyone is going in one direction. So they are all seeing like how we can move forward with this. Actually, so my next question to Mr. Dali, like is a certain spike in the public sentiment towards in the last 6 or 8 months since the whole lockdown period. So, what do you think? Like the how it can be benefit the fundraising method these three in this COVID era? How can these methods be good for fundraising?
Uh, well, I think that the lockdown and the crypto era has been a boon for this our crypto ecosystem. And recently, I read an interview of Mr. Nishchal from WazirX, and he said that listings in WazirX have increased by 400%, and he himself attributed it to the this lockdown and people getting locked down in homes in this situation which is around these days. So I think that it benefited crypto industry in two ways. The first was that people wanted a means to invest. I mean that they were sitting at home, they were not going at job. And, there are many people who had money, but they didn't have options. So they thought that why don't I try crypto? So there were many people who invested their money in crypto. At the same time, they also got some time to study crypto. I mean that previously they were in their daily lives, in their families, but sitting at home in the lockdown period, they got time to read about crypto and familiarize themselves about crypto. So it certainly it has been quite useful for crypto economy, and I crypto economy has benefited a lot from the lockdown period.
Yeah, most definitely. I think cause of the whole lockdown situation, every exchanges are featuring big hype or spike in their user base, and new people are finding different opportunities for investment, and crypto is definitely one of the hot prospects as of now for investment. So question to now Samaksh is like you told us in the previous answer like what different countries are doing in terms of regulation for ICOs and STOs. What do you think India will face? Like in India, what difficulties will we face for regulating ICOs or STOs, IEOs?
Yeah, certainly, Samax. Thank you for that question. So, firstly, I believe it's very important to associate STOs and ICOs within a legal meaning in India, which has not happened since a very long time now. As is very clear from my previous, most ICOs and STOs can qualify as financial instruments, and they have been so in many jurisdictions. When it comes to the Indian scenario, the government hasn't taken any specific stance yet. So any persons who are wishing to indulge in such activities, they have to do so by their own compliance mechanisms. They can set up a collective investment scheme, or they can set up an acceptance of deposits, and they can set up an issuance of securities, and all of these come out from the naturally abiding laws right now. When it comes to difficulties that such ICOs will face, specifically going back to 2019, wherein central government issued the Banning of Unregulated Schemes Act. Now, under the SEC Act, all unregulated deposit schemes are banned, and any deposit taker who accepts such securities would be in contravention of the Act. As you know, STOs and ICOs have not been defined anywhere in India. In fact, STOs themselves are very less when it comes to not a lot of issuance have happened, and hence there is no legal definition to the same. So potentially, these STOs may be susceptible under the Banning of Unregulated Deposit Schemes Act and be restricted in nature. The problem with that is that if any person who deposits or any person who indulges in such activities may be liable for a fine of up to INR 10 lakhs, or and even have some other criminal charges as well. And I'm sure, as many of you are aware here, there is a draft banning of cryptocurrency bill that is also in circulation right now. And under this said bill, use of crypto assets as a whole has been banned. And they also very specifically state that such crypto assets cannot be used as an instrument to raise any kind of funds or any kind of financial or an investment scheme in itself. Now, while we saw that there was a huge amount of penalty that was there in the Banning of Unregulated Deposit Schemes Act, the penalty that comes in the draft banning bill is about up to 25 crores. So that is like almost 10 times what we see from the other Securities Deposits Act. Hence, there are a lot of speculations going about what SEBI is going to do, what RBI is going to do, given the fact that both SEBI and RBI were key, there were key in drafting the banning bill itself. So, given the legislative scenario right now, there are a lot of speculations going whether SEBI would be willing to associate security tokens as securities in the first place. And if that doesn't happen, then I feel there's going to be a restriction on the issuance of ICOs and STOs in India.
Yeah, definitely. Rightly said. Like you explained the whole legality part of it quite easily, since being from a legal background. So I can say that's a perfect answer anyone can have given for this question. So my next question to Mr. Dilip is, like, as you said, like the whole organizations in the government are still trying to figure everything out regarding this. So what misconceptions have you heard from people in India about like ICOs, STOs, and how can we educate them in this matter?
So, well, I think that in India, financial education is missing in our syllabus. I mean that there are courses in our regular education that our students receive. Even the postgraduates and the people who have got very high degrees would not be financially educated. So I think that first of all there should be some sort of financial education right from the school days. Having said that, I would like to add that uh, we can use college level seminars, webinars, and social media as well to uh, to disseminate education about new financial instruments. In fact, in a country like India, there are very few people still who invest in share market. Most of the people are still feel comfortable placing their money in fixed deposits, in recurring deposits, and these kind of instruments. And it is very few people that actually go to share markets. And so it really the number of people who have been investing in the crypto is still a fraction of the population. So there is a lot of scope, and I think that the people who have invested in the mutual funds and share markets, so they are more likely to come to crypto rather than the other of people. So as a crypto industry, we can target the people who are currently investing in share markets and in mutual funds to try cryptocurrencies as well, and thereafter we can expand it to other sections of population.
Yeah, most definitely. We should, like you rightly said, we should start the financial from the start. People like incur in them the investment, the whole investment thing, and how what is going on in the stock market, everything related to that. So, and as you said, people, a really little fraction of people actually invest in stocks in India, and even a fewer fraction invest in crypto. So it would be a great transition to start from people who have options to stocks. They can also move to crypto in terms of new areas to find out how these investing works. So my next question would be to Samash. So you said the different regulations in different countries in it, the difficulties which India will face in coming up with the regulations. So my next question would be, how can we actually what can we actually take the good things that we can take from different countries, and what can we use it in our regulations to for them to be a part of our regulations in India.
Certainly, thanks for that question, Samak. So, when it comes to regulations in India, there are already set laws and regimes that India has. And in order to incorporate STOs and ICOs within them, they just have to amend those laws and regulations. That can happen by mirroring or even, taking certain circumstances in how jurisdictions such as Singapore, Hong Kong, Gibraltar, UAE, in fact, very recently came up with a very revamped version of ICO and STO issuances. So, we just need to sort of understand how it's going to happen and, just take certain amendments from these certain jurisdictions. Going into a bit of specificity in what on what Indian laws transcribe, when it comes to, let's say, issuance of ICOs, such ICOs may qualify as securities under the Securities Contract and Regulation Act, given the fact that such securities are issued by an Indian entity itself, and such tokens or coins have certain ownership rights associated with them. So when all these ambiguities revolve around the coin or the token, then such a token or a coin can be brought out within the meaning of securities under the SCRA. Um, Tokens can also be subjected to requirements surrounding issuance of securities that have already been provided under Companies Act. When you're actually going for an ICO or an STO, there are a lot of compliances that you have to file with the
Yes.
central regulator itself. So, those disclosure requirements and those filing requirements can be brought within the Companies Act itself, because it already has a good set of laws around them. Um, Regulatory sandbox is also one of the things that India requires right now. We all saw that RBI had excluded crypto businesses from their regulatory sandbox. However, even SEBI back in 2019, I believe, also had their own regulatory sandbox. And I believe sandbox is one of the best approaches to interact with crypto assets, and that is something that India needs to do. A lot of tokens, in fact, they may not be securities in the first place. However, their sale is happening in exchange of certain money. So those tokens which are not exclusively securities can be brought within the definition of companies acceptance of deposit rules 2014. Now, what central government says is that their major concern is about money laundering and terrorism
Yes.
financing that's happening through crypto assets. Now, what India simply needs to do at the moment is amend the prevention of corruption laws that they have, to amend their KYC regulations, to amend their, let's say their maintenance of record regulations, and so forth and so on. So essentially, the premise of laws is already available in India, and there is good amendment and consideration that is required by our government.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, we are a big believer in the sandbox thing, and we actually have did a lot of effort in the providing the regulatory sandbox suggestions. So I think you rightly said all the points which we should take from different countries and different, like, newly developing countries also, who are doing a great progress in the field of crypto, say, through, like, through liberal laws regarding crypto, I
Definitely.
can say. So yes, so bringing in a strong legality point would definitely harm the crypto society in India. So my next question to Mr. Dilip would be, do you think there is a need of R to actually bring this industry and advice, and the advice you should give to all the new participants which are coming into the crypto industry as of now?
Oh, well, that is a very good question. And I would like to say that things are quite different than what it used to be at the start of crypto. At that time, people had no idea what crypto was, and all sorts of projects came at that time. And in fact, if we look back and see, 90% of the projects have closed down now. So from the people are quite sophisticated now, and only come to crypto when you have a solid plan. If you don't have a solid plan, you may even lose your money. So that is point from the point of view for the entrepreneurs, and if we uh, view it from the point of view of an investor, so investors should have a proper knowledge about the crypto ecosystem. Often what happens that someone invested in Bitcoin, suppose my some friend invested in Bitcoin and they earned good money. So I may feel that I must also invest in Bitcoin and I may also earn. And a good chunk of people invest in that pattern. That should not happen. Invest in crypto or for that matter in any financial instrument only after when you have proper knowledge of it, put in some time to gather information about that thing, cultivate proper knowledge about that thing, and invest in it only after that. Uh,
Yeah, definitely. People should always like do their investigations before investing in anything. And if people's new people who are coming into crypto and want to learn more about crypto and how to invest in them, I can suggest at BuyuCoin we also have webinars for our beginner trading level people who can just watch our videos and certainly start with them and basically grow as the time goes by and they can do their own research from that, but it definitely would give them the first step to investing in crypto, I can say. So
yeah,
any new beginner who is looking into crypto for an option as investment, I can suggest we have webinars. You can certainly go and look into them, and they are always up to date. So with the current market price, you can always look up to them. So coming back to the topic, the next question, the main question to Samaksh, I can say is, so how do you see the ICOs, STOs, and IEOs evolving in India and becoming a like a mainstream option for fundraising, like an option for instead of an IPO, go for an ICO. So these kinds of things. What can you think of these?
Yeah, so definitely, I think in answer to that, I'd like to quote this one report. It's by the Cambridge Institute of Alternative Finance. They state that STO and ICO is one of the most innovative methods of alternating financing for early stage startups in any country, for that matter. However, when it comes to India specifically, there's hardly any regulations, hardly any jurisprudence around the same. One of the reasons for that is, barring aside the fact that there is no clear regime for crypto assets, even our foreign investment regime has sort of become very competitive and protectionist in nature. So, given that fact, a lot of foreign investors are not indulging into technology businesses as much as we want when it comes to decentralized ledger technology businesses, for that matter. The jurisprudence around ICOs, IEOs, and STOs is very developing in India right now. Mechanisms of STOs and ICOs, as innovative as they may be, they're not very looked favorably upon, and as rightly pointed out by Samaksh and Mr. Dilip itself, one of the reasons for that is we need a lot of consumer information. We need to have more educative sessions about the same so that people are more aware that how the functioning of such STOs and ICOs work about. Um, One of the reasons that I also feel there is a tryst in ICOs and STOs in themselves. A lot of governments feel that STOs are more compliant when compared with ICOs. The reason for that is because STOs have an underlying value which is pegged at traditional securities. However, ICOs is more like a crowdfunding thing when you sort of give out a token or a coin and then you want to reach a particular level, and that's when that happens, then you sort of take your money out of the market and use it in your funding regimes. So the STO versus ICO twist also keeps going on in various jurisdictions in India, since there is lack of both. That is one of the reasons why our market is lagging behind. The last, I'll just touch upon one of the things that I find very interesting is that even though there is very less number of ICOs that are happening, there is so much innovation going around them. Recently, there was a case in the United States around airdrops, which is a very innovative
Mm.
new method of, I would say, marketing also, and also fundraising, for that
Yes.
matter. So essentially, in an airdrop, you can, for like either a no payment consideration or a very less payment consideration, you can sell out your tokens to other investors. Sometimes you do that for free in itself. So that is not technically sale, right? I mean,
Yeah.
leaving out the legal jargon for a second, if you're not paying for something, how can that be a sale? However, the SEC goes on to say that it doesn't matter if you're paying for it or not. If such airdrop, if such free tokens are sort of, advancing the economic purposes of your company, then we will consider it at sale, and then we will bring these things under our own protectionist regime, and you have to follow our laws and you have to pay for more
Mm.
licenses. So these are the things that need to evolve in India, and we're lagging behind these same things. So in order to become mainstream, first we need to understand all the concepts. For our government, we need to have more educative engagement sessions with the government too, and make them understand that we'll fall behind if we don't cover up with other jurisdictions. So I think that's what I'd like to say.
Yeah, most definitely. And the point you rightly said was between the ICOs and STOs, the regulatory people tend to favor the STOs more since because of the underlying asset. And ICOs is something of a crowdfunding. So a lot of people have lost money in that also, but it's a great way to invest, fundraise. But definitely the innovation part is definitely taking both the processes forward in the field of fundraising. So, last question to both of you is: so the Indian government has actually started to move towards digitization and cashless economy. So, how do you think this initiative for regulating ICOs, IEOs, or STOs in the fact is a viable alternative to the IPOs?
I uh, I
Yeah,
think that we should not think of it the IPO or STO as the alternative to IPO. Rather than that, I will say that IPO will be supported by the ICOs and STOs. My opinion is that when we say that this is the alternative to this thing, to something different, then that is a kind of confrontation kind of thing. Another person can think that this thing is trying to substitute this thing, another thing. So rather than that, we can say that crypto economy will be kind of supportive to the mainstream finance economy. And I think that the policy of the Indian government regarding digitization will will be quite helpful for the crypto community. However, Indian government, the Indian system is still lacking behind the world when it comes to regulation, and that is something the authorities should move forward quickly, and they should recognize that it is a quite a potential economy which can support the mainstream Indian economy, and so rather than uh, the regulation trying to suppress the crypto, the regulation should kind of support it, and the regulation should be focused on providing the right environment to crypto community. And in the proper regulatory environment, the crypto community is sure to flourish. And I am sure that in soon or later, the people will realize that crypto is there to stay, and regulation will develop with time. And I think there is a bright future for crypto.
yeah, definitely. The part you said is rightly. The ICOs and IPOs shouldn't be like confronted and shouldn't be like fighting for
Yeah,
the mainstream,
yeah,
but
yeah,
they
yeah,
should be supportive of one another. And there definitely can be people who can like go start the fundraising from, if not IPO, ICOs, IEOs, and definitely a helpful environment for both the things. On all four of the things will be helpful in the fundraising situation in India. So,
yeah, yeah. That
what's
is
your
what I
thoughts
think.
on this matter? Yeah.
Yeah, certainly, as correctly pointed out by both of you, I think the Indian government needs to understand that through crypto assets, we're not trying to overcome or, sort of alternate any traditional securities or currency. We're just trying to enhance them through better
Yes.
means of technology. And that is what the Indian government needs to understand in the first place. Certain companies have, in fact, certain big companies, I would say, have incorporated ICO, STOs, and blockchain for that matter in their perusal. I saw the other day that TCS has introduced Quartz, and they have introduced Ethereum support and Hyperledger support for Quartz itself. So I think when a company like TCS sort of goes into say that we're gonna provide cryptocurrency solution to you, it's a big statement, right? I mean, for the private investors in India itself, it's a big statement because they have at least impliedly given certain incentives for other companies to also develop their blockchain platforms in itself. So that is one thing that India needs to do in advancement of their digital ecosystem. They should engage with a lot of companies, and companies should also engage with regulators in the first place. Interestingly, a very interesting fact that I saw in the RBI's latest November fintech report was that while RBI, uses the usual jargon about how crypto has whatever, like they issue their normal warnings, etc., etc. They also recognize that fact that globally there is almost there is, I don't remember the exact percentage, but there is a huge emergence of licenses that have happened specifically in the Asian markets. The licenses have grown to a very far reached aspect compared to 2018 or 2019. So I believe, a lot of economies have started to collaborate in themselves, have started to identify the potential of not only tokenization but crypto assets as a whole. And I think for India to begin that is to identify the potential and to advance DLT also in the first place. I remember Telangana and Tamil Nadu have introduced their own DLT policies. I think we need to hear from the central government also what they want to do with blockchain in the first place and how they want to advance it and become a more competitive economy when compared in the Asian markets itself.
Yeah, definitely. The bringing in of the big companies and definitely the state governments is basically a nudge in the right direction, but we need to work a lot on the basic
Definitely.
regulations, and it should come probably from the central government and in collaboration with RBI, because they are the more like the position body in the whole country who can manage all this, and it would definitely be helpful for the future. So, yeah. So, last question to Samaksh. So, what are the policy developments which are being undertaken by like block suits? What are you guys working as of now? Any
Yeah.
updates in current situations?
Thanks for that question, Samak. So we've been involved in a lot of policy projects at the moment. We're drafting a policy proposal to the government. I know a lot of companies, a lot of good companies have already done it. So we want to go on to say that how tokenization for that matter or blockchain for that matter as a whole can be utilized in India's economy as not only for payments but let's say for privacy tokens or for real estate tokens or for payments tokens and for
Mm.
utility tokens. How can blockchain and other traditional securities can be tokenized to enhance India's markets. So we're drafting up those policy proposals at the moment and we should be ready with them soon. An innovative concept that I think we're doing at Blocksuits is we want to initiate a digital rupee revolution in India. So we understand that tomorrow we may or we may not see a lot of crypto assets and advancement, but that doesn't mean that the technology in itself should go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So we want to do something with the digital Ruby project, very similar to how China or let's say the Bahamas region has sort of taken up their digital currency project. So we're going to start a digital rupee project soon. So I would, welcome any kind of comments or any kind of initiations regarding the same, not only from BayuCoin, but
Mm.
from all stakeholders in the community. We have to come together and take crypto forward, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely, it's a right step in the right direction, I can say, and definitely we are behind you guys in the policy development sector. Like anything you guys put up, we are like totally behind it, and we'll be happy to follow it and like take a go look through it and definitely take it to the government if possible. Yeah. So
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah. So, Mr. Dilip, my question to you is like, what are the updates you can give us at Tech Tweeters? What are you guys up to, and what can we tell our viewers about this?
Tech Twitter says about tech copywriting, particularly in the realm of blockchain and cryptocurrency. And what we do here is to connect crypto organizations to their audiences. I mean that what we do is that the crypto organization will be doing what it is specialized in. I mean that the focus of crypto organization is on development of their product, while we handle the content editing for them. And in the coming months, we are also going to expand to to the realm of cybersecurity, and thereafter, by the end of 2020, we also plan to start the public relations as well.
Yeah. So it's I can say definitely a lot of stuff is happening also as tech tweeters, and
Yeah.
definitely it's great to seeing the blockchain and crypto ecosystem, all the stakeholders working together and working for a better ecosystem for blockchain and crypto both, I can say. So I have a few questions for you guys, so we can just go through it one by one. Okay.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
As you can see, we have a few questions in the chat section. You guys, if let me just read out a few. So from Ashok, I can say the question is it safe to invest in crypto in India? So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would definitely say it is safe, as rightly pointed out by Mr. Dilip. You have to do your own due diligence, have to do a little bit of research about what crypto is, what are the investment schemes, what are the different type of cryptos, if it's cross border, what are the compliances that I need to give, what are the taxation mechanisms. But there is nothing known as an unsafe crypto, all those jargons that we see around volatility and about unsafeness of the crypto regime, that's not quite true. I think it's mostly about how one's perseverance about it is, and how one's due diligence regarding crypto is.
Yeah, definitely. I hope Ashok has gotten his answer, and definitely before it's very safe to invest in crypto, but we have to do our research on due diligence before investing in anything, I can say. The next question from is Mr. Robin. So he wanted to know, do you think India will change their stance on crypto and the anti-crypto bill since China is heading the crypto and digital currency revolution? And the thing we talked about, like the digital yuan CBDC, is already circulating in China.
Well, I think that Indian government, the bill they are bringing in want to be exactly anti-crypto, and it will be kind of probably their focus is to make it sure that frauds don't happen and illegal things are prevented. So I think that the draft they are making will be focused on preventing the frauds as well as the legal things, and we should not use it as anti-crypto.
Yeah.
And the blockchain projects are developing and they are coming up very rapidly, not only in China but all across the world. And the people in the authorities are smart enough to notice it. And I am sure that the final draft that comes will be accommodative for the crypto community, and it will provide the right environment for us to flourish.
Yeah, definitely. I hope Robin has gotten his answer. The next question I can say is to Samaksh. I think you can, regarding law, you can give a better perspective on this. So, is there currently a tax law for crypto in India? So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so when it comes to tax, it's very complicated. I think it's one of the most complicated things about crypto in itself, since it's not only a technology, but a commodity, a security, a payments mechanism, a utility thing. So there is nothing that the Indian government specifically has stated around cryptocurrencies, like in specific. But we have to utilize the already existing regimes, such as the Central Board of Indirect Taxes guidelines that we keep seeing, the GST regime, the GST Council. It's again, this is a speculation that's going around. The GST Council is in fact deliberating on how to issue guidances on crypto taxation. So that is something that we are yet to see. But mostly it's been taxed under the GST regime right now, and yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of ambiguity around it, whether it should be taxed as a commodity or whether it should be taxed as a utility or as a service. Since sometimes you're buying a cryptocurrency and then you're using the same cryptocurrency in exchange of a service, right? So where do you really tax in that transaction? Do you double tax it, or do you tax it in the first instance? So there's a lot of ambiguity going around. But in specific to your question, there has nothing officially been stated around tax laws for crypto.
Yeah. So, I hope Robin has gotten his answer regarding the tax laws for crypto in India. And I think we are done with the questions as of now. Yeah. So, so let's just end this session, quick wrap up session. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this session. I hope you are give your thoughts regarding everything regarding the ICOs and IEOs regulation in India.
Uh,
Thanks, Avaksh. It was amazing to be here. Enlightening talk as usual. And I hope, I think I remember someone asked that, do you think the government will take an anti-crypto regime? I really hope they do. It is in my heart that they do, and I think we just have to wait and watch.
uh, well, so much I think that it has been quite a productive session, and I look forward to many more such sessions. And I sincerely feel that whatever the government brings uh, will be focused on preventing frauds in crypto rather than it will be anti-crypto, and eventually uh, crypto industry will flourish.
Yeah, definitely. It's lovely to have both of you giving such great suggestions and your views on everything related to it. And I hope we can do this more often in the future to educate our users. Since you are like we all said, there is a gap between financial education in India and definitely regarding crypto. So I hope we can fill up this gap regarding every month
Definitely.
or every week
So,
by coming on this and teaching our viewers everything, answering their doubts. And for people who want to start investing in crypto, I can suggest we have a great lineup of webinars, definitely specific to trading, uh, and as well as regulations like you are attending right now. And you can check those out. And definitely, if you want to start safely investing in India, you can go to BuyUcoin. We have a lot of technical places to definitely avoid any mishaps or anything related to total productivity in terms of crypto investments we can provide. And for policy development, I can suggest we go to blog suites and follow tech Twitter. Definitely reach out to them regarding any questions you have. They will be happy to answer you guys. I
so,
can hope.
so, so
Definitely.
definitely.
And I can also say the Bitcoin is providing definitely the first scratch cards for crypto users, investors in India. So if you want to be a part of that revolution, you can log into Bitcoin and start with your first scratch card, get a free crypto, and start looking around, start playing with things in the investment sector for crypto. And for any questions, you can reach out us to at Bitcoin. We'll be happy to answer you guys. You can reach out to Samaksh at Blog Suites and Mr. Dilip at Tech Twitters. All of us will be happy to answer you guys. Thank you so much, Samaksh and Dilip. It's a
Thank,
Thanks.
great
thank you
session.
too.
Yeah.
Thank you too so
Thanks,
much.
Avaksh. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone.